Picture this. You immigrate from Europe to the United States and come to love your new community. You seem to have no enemies or even a care in the world. Then one day, you just vanish. There is no sign of a struggle, and your disappearance baffles, well, everyone. This is a scary thought and one that happens all too often, and sadly, it happened to a woman named Barbara Holik, who has never been found since her disappearance. Let's talk about it. Barbara Holik was born in Rodental, Germany on March 24, 1962. In 1989, Barbara immigrated to the United States and settled in Teos, New Mexico because of her great appreciation for the American West. She was described as quiet and shy, but was considered very organized by those who did know her. From the Native American history to the beauty of the land, Barbara was fascinated by all New Mexico had to offer. Her new environment inspired her art in jewelry making and pottery, which she sold at a local gallery known as Teos Pueblo Shop. She was so passionate about the place that she now called home that she hosted tour groups for travelers. Now, Barbara was married for several years in the 90s, but divorced by the time of her disappearance. According to a local media outlet, the marriage may have been more out of a desire to become an American citizen rather than love. But I cannot find any accounts of Barbara being in danger of deportation. I also cannot find any accounts of the marriage or divorce being contentious or the ex-spouse being involved in her disappearance. On June 23rd, 1995, Barbara was last seen at a bar having drinks with friends at a place which was at the time known as El Patio. Barbara wore a lavender blouse and ordered her usual a few glasses of scotch and left the bar, presumably walking home as she often did around 11 p.m. that fateful weekend night. Nobody knows what happened to Barbara after that. She would never be seen again, and her disappearance would not be noticed until June 26th when she failed to show up for work at the gallery. The owner of the gallery, Sonny Spruce, became worried as it was unlike Barbara to miss work without any notice. He made several calls to Barbara's home, which all went unanswered, so he went to check on her. When Sonny arrived, he found the door unlocked and her Ford Fiesta parked in the driveway. Nothing inside the apartment seemed unusual, as her things were undisturbed. So Sonny left and hoped he'd see Barbara the next day. When she didn't show up for work again on June 27th, Sonny made another trip to her apartment to check on her. The apartment was just as it had been the day before, and that is when Sonny jumped into action. He called the police and reported Barbara missing. Investigators noted that Barbara's purse, wallet, keys, passport, and cash were inside the apartment. They also discovered that she was expecting a friend from Europe to come visit her, so it made it odd that she vanished around this time. They found the lavender blouse she was wearing when she was last seen hanging in her bathroom. The apartment was clean and it didn't appear any of Barbara's belongings had been taken. Investigators from the Teos Police Department found an absence of evidence at her apartment, nothing to suggest a crime had been committed, but for the woman's absence. Now, there were two odd things. The first was that her mattress cover was missing and the telephone line had been cut. In the worst possible scenario, an intruder may remove the lines of communication and use a sheet or mattress to cover something nefarious, like a lifeless body. Still, a lack of forensic evidence was clear because they soon discovered a maid had cleaned the apartment, seriously hampering any type of traceable evidence. Now, a few days later, things got stranger. The same maid found a pair of shoes in the neighboring apartment. Barbara did have access to it, despite it being vacant, as it had lights for the outdoors of the complex. Unfortunately for Barbara's friends and the investigators, this lack of evidence would become the default state of the case. It's been 27 years since Barbara's disappearance, and there's no progress in the investigation. This is a missing persons case where there's no evidence of a crime, but no evidence of the person leaving of their own volition. The case remains unsolved, and there are no suspects or leads. Theories as to why she vanished include foul play, abduction, or voluntary disappearance due to her immigration status. One of these includes some men who briefly rented the apartment where her shoes were found, but authorities have been unable to track them down to question if they had a role in it. Despite years of searching, no clues have been found, and Barbara is missing to this day. This one is a tough nut to crack. Normally, I try to give you my theory on what happened to the victim in a case, but this almost feels like she vanished off the face of the earth. Whatever happened to Barbara Holik, I do hope she is found, and if you know where she is, please contact the authorities. Finally, what do you think happened to her? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you liked this video. If so, be sure to like, share, and subscribe here at Studio Jake After Dark. Don't forget you can support me on my locals community. The link is in the description. And don't forget to ask, what happens when you turn out the lights?